A global namaste to each and every one of you. It's a beautiful morning today. I know Mumbai city and several cities are having the electricity issue, but I'm truly thankful to each and every one of you for managing and being here with us. So on behalf of India Business Group Chamber of Commerce, we take this opportunity of welcoming each and every one of you. My dear lovely friends, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly honored to have with us today His Excellency, a Consul General of Poland, Mr. Damian Irzyk. Absolutely an honor for all of us to have you here. So maybe please wish you Dean's Dobre, Damian sir. Truly an honor for all of us to have your humble presence. His Excellency, thank you so much. My dear lovely friends, to everyone who's joined us for the very first time, India Business Group Chamber of Commerce is a non-profit organization and focuses on mentoring and supporting Indian businesses to grow not just in the country, but international arena exposure as well. And we always believe in having the vision and fulfilling that vision and bringing it into the reality is what India Business Group Chamber of Commerce actually does. India Business Group was founded by Mr. Vikash Mittersain, who we popularly call as our business guru because he gives us the right tips to really fulfill our dreams and, of course, climb the ladder of success. He's currently the chairman and managing director of Nazara Technologies and the honorary consul general of the Republic of Mali. We are all extremely lucky. We are more than 80,000 people in the group with over 1,000 active members in Mumbai alone, pertaining to sectors like finance, legal, marketing, media, manufacturing, banking, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, etc. And of course, we engage on the international arena as well and the domestic chambers. We also arrange one-to-one business meetings with several chambers from across the world. One of them is happening tomorrow morning as well. So I'm going to request you, if it's your first time, to kindly give us your details in the chat box. And if you have any questions from His Excellency, so please kindly mention it in the chat box and we shall do the needful. To speak a few words about our business guru, Mr. Vikash Mittersain, we are all extremely honored to have with us the very renowned author and a young radio jockey as well. So he's the author of the books, You CEO, You the Leader, and My Post on Facebook. And as we always know that, you know, his shows on All India Radio are always rocking on all the channels, FM Rainbow and FM Gold. We are truly honored and blessed to have with us Chairman and Managing Director of Nazara Technologies and our Honorary Consul of the Republic of Mali. May we please request Mr. Vikash Mittersain to address everyone this morning. Good morning, sir. Beautiful morning to you, Mr. Vikash, sir. May I please kindly, thank you, sir.
I was on mute. Thank you for inviting me.
Sorry, sir.
As usual, you speak too much about me. I think we should keep it short or cut out things which are not necessary. But thanks a lot. I'm very happy to have Mr. Damian. I'm not using his second name. Don't want to sound silly trying to say something wrong. I think, you know, Poland is a great country. I remember when I was in textiles about 30 years back, we did a lot of business with Poland, me as a company. I was in textiles then. So it was greatly Poland and Russia. There was a lot of business between India and Poland those times. I don't know how it is now, the textile sector. But it's a great country. I will always recommend my members and my contacts go and work with Poland. So I welcome this talk. I think we should proceed to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Well, my dear lovely friends, it's time for us to request our CEO, the very dynamic Priya Pansare, to address everyone, please.
Morning, everyone. As you guys know that we are doing a lot of activities with international chambers, and also IBG's DNA has been from all these years is the consul effect. So We have, in this lockdown period, we have invited many consul generals to be on our webinar, and they have been imparting a lot of knowledge to you guys. I hope you're making best use of it and also participating in the B2B meetings that we're conducting. So thanks a lot, and over to you, Damia. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Priya. We truly thank Mr. Girish and Siddhi for this wondrous webinar. And before we request His Excellency, Your Excellency, please allow me a few seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are truly honored and blessed to have with us our Consul General of Poland, His Excellency, Mr. Damian Irzyk, who's assumed the post of Polish Consul General in Mumbai on the 14th of May 2018, a graduate of Poznan University of Economics and the National School of Public Administration. He previously served as Cohesion Fund expert at the Ministry of Regional Development, Economic Counselor at Polish Embassy in Jakarta, and the Political Counselor at Polish Embassy in Beijing. He speaks both English and German. We're truly honored to have with us Your Excellency. May we please kindly request you to address everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Simran, for this nice introduction. And I really appreciate also the idea, Mr. Vikash, to have this kind of webinar. I wish we could meet personally all together. And I think that all of us are missing this kind of meetings. Now we can have many more meetings, but they are online. So this is the new normal that we are facing at this moment. But I'm very happy to interact with the members of IBG and other friends of the group. I'm very much looking forward to longer cooperation, and I just wanted to treat this as a first step of establishing a longer relationship with the IBG between Polish Consulate as well as our trade office. There is a Polish trade office in Mumbai. There are many chambers, commercial trade and investment chambers in Poland who have a very kind of big international exposure. And then in a second part of my short introduction, I will also give you the reasons why it's important and why it's wise to look into Poland closer during these times. But I would also want to start with a brief history of the consulate itself, because what Mr. Vikash already mentioned, that he know Poland for the trade and textile industry. So it dates back to 60s or 70s, but of the previous century. But the consulate itself was established even before the World War II in 1933. So we were in Bombay even before the Indian independence. So that was the proof of the importance of Bombay at that time, as well as Poland's ambition to develop the trade relations with British India at that time. But Bombay itself was like a very important hub in the 19th century and then in the beginning of the 20th century. So the consulate was established 87 years ago already, and its primary activities was to promote trade between the port of Bombay at that time and also the newborn Polish state, who just gained independence 15 years before. So it showed how long the history is, and the history was also played a major role in this consulate with the outbreak of the Second World War, because the first consul general who came here in 1933, he was focusing on trade, but with the beginning of the World War II, his activities totally changed into helping Polish citizens who were escaping the atrocities of war in Poland. So many Poles arrived to India in the early 40s, escaping the World War II, and they were actually coming to India from the territories of the former Soviet Union, they were deported in the beginning of the war. They were deported to Siberia, and then they were trying to escape this uninhabitable areas of Northern Asia. So they came all the way south to British India, and they found a shelter in Jamnagar as well as in Kolhapur. So it's not very common knowledge that about 5,000 Polish women and children were living in Kolhapur up to 5-6 years during the 40s. So that was a very beginning of the Polish-Indian relations, and is a very beautiful cornerstone of our further cooperation. So, but after the war, India and Poland started to trade with each other. Both economies were far from market status economies. It was a very consensual trade on both sides, but it was a very good thing that at that time in the 60s and 70s, many Indians already started doing very intensive business with Poland as a major country in Central Europe, a major country beyond Soviet Union itself, as we were part of the Eastern Bloc. So the 60s, 70s, and then 80s, the consulate here was also, returned to its original function, which was kind of helping Polish businesses doing business with their Indian counterparts. But as I said, it was far from the markets, for the market realities. It was more about political decisions of governments in New Delhi, Moscow, and Warsaw. So with the beginning of the 90s, the whole situation changed, because it's not only that India opened up in 1991, but also Poland became a full market economy. So the trade between our countries to some extent decreased, and it started to rebound in recent decades. So I will come into that in a minute, but just wanted to give you a short introduction to Poland itself. It's a still country which is not very well known in India, even though it's right in the middle of Europe, with a population of around 4 crore, which for European standard, it's pretty big. That makes our economy number 5 in the European Union. So we are together with Germany, France, Italy, and Spain in a group of 5 largest economies of the European Union. The area of Poland is exactly the same as the area of Maharashtra. So that gives you a kind of a perspective, especially for those who extensively traveled to Europe, that you can basically visit 5 countries in one day while driving on excellent highways. So Central Europe is full of rather small-sized countries, except Poland, which is pretty big comparing to others in this part of the world. We are, as I mentioned, part of the EU as well as NATO, as of course Schengen, which also makes travels to Poland easy. I mean, it was easy before COVID took its toll, but it's still we're looking forward to fully re-establish this free flow of movement of people. It is also a member of the OECD, the so-called Rich Economies Club. So we still have our own currency, which is zloty. It is helping us also to navigate during difficult times, as during the financial crisis in 2009 as well, 2008, 2009, as well as today. So it's good to have your own currency during these difficult times, but also it doesn't really impede our trade with the neighboring countries. So why is it good to talk about Poland now? Is that I see some kind of similarities of what was happening during the financial crisis, 2008-2009. And the countries like Poland, like India, during this first crisis of this century, realized that it's no longer feasible to rely on export markets in developed economies. So it was a kind of a wake-up call for us that we can not only rely on the European markets or American demand, but we need also to look for overseas, especially in Asia, obviously with the focus on China, India, and ASEAN, which are developing really fast in the past year. So that was the first call for both for India and for Poland to start working harder on fostering our business relations. And I am happy to observe. I'm still talking in the pre-COVID lines, because it was a major shock for all of us. But in the past decades, we saw a constant growth of the trade relations between our countries. And also from the consulate perspective, we observed a constant growth of number of Indian businessmen traveling to Poland. We've observed double-digit growth for Indian tourists traveling to Poland. So that the country which was kind of still undiscovered. We saw their passports that they visited tens of countries in the world, and suddenly they said, "Oh, well, we missed Poland," and then they went there and they returned absolutely thrilled of the hospitality, of the infrastructure, of the opportunities that Poland creates for its visitors. As a kind of a proof of our economic success was that we also observed a surge in number of visa applications for Indians with work permits in Poland. It became a very attractive place for work, with still very low costs of living. So that's also important for Indian students. So we also saw that number growing significantly. So I think that this people-to-people exchanges were growing very rapidly in past decades. It was very good to observe that. And that was obviously kind of halted in March this year. But we all hope it's only temporarily. But like coming back to the situation of the Polish economy and why it is an attractive place to be, is that it's during the crisis 2008-2009, it was the only country that its GDP kept growing at this very difficult period. So this growth of Polish economy stopped for the first time in 30 years. For 3 decades, we were becoming from a one of the poorest European countries, we became a member of the high-income economies, and our GDP per capita in 2019 reached 32,000 US dollars in purchasing power parity, which shows that it was definitely the unprecedented development success story of the past three decades. What is important here is that we managed to achieve this success while having all the members of society on board. The inequality index remained low during this time, so that means that the fruits of growth were shared very in a very fair way, as well as the poverty index in Poland significantly declined. So that was achieved through an inclusive growth methods, as well as very good governing of the economy itself. So as of let's say March 2020, we were considered as the role model for all the World Bank presentations that could prove that you can grow while keeping the inequality levels low, and you can rise all boats with the growth tide. So I've mentioned the crisis of 2019, 2008, 2009, but it's also important to mention the results for this year. And this is gonna be the first year since my living memory that Poland will not grow. Our economy will contract, but still we are expecting the contractions level between 4 and 5%. So, I mean, if you look what's going on around the world economies, it shows that our will not suffer to that extent as the others. The second quarter this year, we observed only 8% decline. This was the worst quarter for all of us, but it was still only 8% decline. So we managed to keep this with the unemployment rate still in around 6% and inflation rate within about 3%. So it shows that even this year, which was catastrophic in terms of economies around the globe, still did not manage to kind of derail our path of growth, and we were really much looking forward to rebound in 2021 to the growth level around 4 to 5%. So why was that? And I think that the most important thing is that Poland managed to contain the virus in its first stage. We had very harsh lockdown. We implemented very harsh lockdown on mid-March. So it was well before other countries did it. So it was a very kind of shock for all of us that we are closing borders, we are closing people at homes, but it helped us to keep the level of infections on a very low on the very low numbers, and we also started to defreeze economy very fast. Also, when we realized that the virus was somehow under control. So basically in back in June. Our economy was back on track. Factories were running, and people were already going outside. That was also coming together with summer season for Poland, which is traditionally a very good time for going out, which this virus actually do not like. It spreads very easily in indoors rather than on the outside. So the numbers were kept low until this month, let's in October. The numbers are picking up again, as in whole Europe. So that's a big challenge for all of us in Europe or Northern Hemisphere, when people are again coming back to their homes and they spend more time indoors, and that's the time that we were kind of experiencing the second wave of the virus itself. So, to cut the long story short, we were very well doing during the first wave, and now the second wave is somehow halting our efforts to completely defreeze economy, and it shows that it's gonna be a longer battle than we all thought before.
Sure.
So I'm happy to tell you more if you have any more specific questions or
Sure. Yes,
oh
sir.
yes,
We
I
do have
actually, if I may, I didn't say a lot about this Indian connections with Poland, because now I mean, it's not that all Indians are not aware of the Polish economic success. We have some champions from here who already spotted it a few years ago. And now companies like TCS, like Infosys, like Wipro, and many others, they are investing in their delivery centers in Poland. And they were extremely successful. And it's not only Indian companies of that sort. So Poland is booming with the BPO sector as well as ICT. I would say we became what India does for the world. I think that Poland does for the European Union or Europe itself. So a lot of major multinationals, they are outsourcing part of their work to Poland, and it's handled by not only by other multinationals but also Indian multinationals. So we are happy to observe it, and there are plenty of jobs, highly skilled jobs created by the Indian companies in Poland, in centers like Warsaw, like Kraków or Wrocław. All Indians, my Indian friends who are visiting Poland, they always returned and said, we didn't realize there were so many Indian restaurants already, and it hardly comes as a surprise, as where you have a lot of Indians, also you have a lot of Indian restaurants. So these companies from Bangalore-based or Hyderabad-based companies, they were realizing that Poland offers a very reasonable costs of running business, and it's very open towards foreign investors, and it offers a lot of highly educated workforce. And we are still relatively young nation, even though we are graying fast, but still we are running on this demographic dividend comparing to other European neighbors. So we have plenty of young people who are very kind of happy to learn new things, new skills, and they're already well educated, and they are very much looking forward to getting new challenges. So we estimate that we have around 150 Indian origin business entities in Poland already. So I think it's a significant number, and it's growing very fast, because the feedback that we received from Indian business community in Poland is overwhelmingly positive, and it's always very good to listen to this very optimistic assessments of doing business in Poland.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. In fact, Warsaw is also one of the biggest and the best international tourist destinations. And thank you for the special mention about the Indian restaurants, because it makes a lot of difference, and it makes Indians very excited and very happy to even go ahead and do business with Polish entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. We do have a couple of questions, and we like to request you if you could kindly help us with the answers. Mr. Vikash would like to know, what is the extent of damage to the Polish economy?
So far, I would say it's still manageable, and Polish government offered a huge stimulus package to keep the companies afloat, as well as sustain the employment. So demand remains strong. We were also lucky to have a lot of manufacturing. So a large part of our GDP is still generated by manufacturing. And the nature of this virus is that it affects mostly services rather than manufacturing. It's much easier to contain the spread in the factories rather than within the service sector. So servicing obviously was affected, especially those like restaurants, cinemas, this kind of things. But manufacturing was somehow saved, and this more sophisticated services like this BPOs or ICT, they very smoothly switched to work from home mode. And with excellent ICT infrastructure in Poland, it was very easy to move to the, at least for some time, to move from the home. So the economy was doing pretty well, but we are very much concerned looking into the second wave of the virus, because it was very, kind of wise to freeze the economy and unfreeze it, as happens during, like, I don't know, major natural disasters, that you have the sun shining again and you can go back to work. And at this time we are facing the number of cases growing again during this winter season. So so far it's positive, but still we remain very, very careful with further opening up of the economy.
Sure, thank you, sir. What is the opportunity for coir pith, the cocoa peat, and the coir products in Poland?
Excuse me, what kind of products?
It's the coir pith, the opportunity for coir products in Poland. And this question, I'm going to request if Mr. Sonder could kindly explain this right after, towards the end, if you could take this question again. And it's by Mr. Sonder. I'm going to request you to kindly ask towards the end. I'm moving ahead to the next question. Mr. Sunil would like to know, doing business in Poland, which agency would you guide us to? And also any idea, when would Poland open its borders?
So we do have a trade representative office of the Polish Trade and Investment Agency. There is a government agency in Poland, as in most countries, for trade and investment, and they have their overseas offices. And one of them is also in Mumbai. We are very lucky to have their own office. The only office in India is here in BKC. I'll be happy to share the details, the contact details. The chief of this, the head of this office is also, I think, participating in this webinar. In this sense, we are kind of lucky because it's very easy. It's a kind of a one-stop shop that you can have all the information necessary available here in the city. So they also are happy to respond to a more detailed questions when it comes to products, when it comes to economic zones, when it comes to corporate income tax issues or incentives for employment of more labor and all this kind of stuff. So they were equipped for doing this kind of inquiries. When it comes for borders, it's a tricky question because we are part of the larger group called First European Union and Schengen Treaty areas. And we coordinate with our friends and neighbors in Brussels how to open the borders. And it's all decided during the meetings between our interior ministers from various Schengen countries in Brussels. So we're looking forward to reopen as fast as possible, but it's very much interconnected with the level of new cases and the way countries are coping with the pandemic itself. So as of now, we only have limited categories of visa applicants that we are able to handle, and these are usually long-term visas. We basically stopped issuing short-term visas until the situation at least come to normal. It's a very sad thing to me personally, because it was one of my main goals to rise the numbers of tourists and business people coming from India to Poland, and I started a kind of a large project of activities to improve this. And we've seen numbers growing really rapidly, as also our tourist organization paid a lot of attention for India. But it was all stopped overnight in March. So I hope it will rebound soon, and let's hope that 2021 would be a return for this huge numbers of tourists.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, Amit would like to know what the areas Poland is looking at India to help with, any specific sectors or budgets in the plan, and what's the process and the possibilities of the same? So what are the areas that Poland is looking, the different areas where Poland could be of help to India? Any sectors?
Yes. Yes. So I briefly mentioned the service sector. That's the fastest growing part of our relations at the moment. It's a huge boost for, and it's possible due to this technological developments that we experienced in the past decades. So we are happy to observe the services going up. We have we are very, very strong in automotive industry. Even though we lack our own brands when it comes for cars, we are a major producer of car parts, as well as we are assembling many brands. And our proximity to German market is placed in a huge advantage. We are also traditionally goods in within our shipyards. The whole solidarity movement in Poland came out of a shipyard in Gdańsk, and it brought freedom not only to Poland but also in Central Europe. But that shipyard industry is still a big advantage for Poland, even though we are not producing, we're not competing with the Chinese producers or Korean producers of these large cargo ships, but we are one of the major producer of luxury yachts, for example, and also have kind of a sophisticated vessels from kind of offshore work. So there's also potential interesting part of our Indian, as India has such an enormous coastline, and it's we could develop some cooperation here. However, our major investor here is in a very I mean, it's a kind of a beauty and sanitary equipment for so kind of wipes, diapers. It's the company called Bella is manufacturing here in Karnataka and in Tamil Nadu. They have their warehouses and factories there. So it's a huge success story, as it's very easy to find their products marketed here in shops in Bombay or in many other major cities and villages as well in India. We have also a big investment from Polish company, which was then acquired by the American fund. The company name is Canpak. It's a huge factory. They have two huge factories in Aurangabad, and it also shows that this Polish-Indian connection can be easily put into real money and investment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Is Poland also importing textile made-ups from India? If you could advise and recommend some agency they could connect for the same, for the textiles, for importing textiles.
Yes, so I was, well, I'm not really prepared for this kind of question, as I think that Indian textiles are selling themselves anyway. So I mean, obviously it is a traditional export item from India to Poland. And I'm sure that there are many Indian Polish chambers in Poland who are kind of facilitating with contact details to as well as the Indian embassy in Warsaw, which is also very open towards fostering the trade relations. So I'm sure they would have bigger knowledge on who to address with specific questions like this.
Sure, sure. And Mr. Vikash would also like to request you, if later, you could help us with the Poland policies for investment in Poland. What are the policies? If you could just send us that. Sure. We also have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Sure, sir. So another last few questions I'm going to request you. What is Poland's policy on tech startups, and how are they really encouraging for tech startups?
Yes, that's thanks for that question. And we have in Poland a number of excellent technical universities, and therefore we have many engineers and IT specialists who are educated in universities, and there were also a huge pressure for the government to have a special scheme for that. So there is a special program for startups in Poland, and I will be happy to share the contact details for them after the meeting or through the trade office. The program itself is it's run by the Ministry of Development, and they are really kind of encouraging companies to expand, and they have a significant budget for startups as well. So it's definitely in place, and we as Polish government is trying its most to encourage this kind of innovations. We fully realize that we have to kind of move towards the knowledge-based economy instead of like just assembling goods, and we strongly encourage innovations, not only through declarations but also through specific schemes of financial support.
Sure. So the next question is almost similar, but I'll still ask you, which are the industries that Poland has to offer for trade? If you could highlight us or let us know about that. Which are the industries that Poland has to offer for trade?
Yeah, so I think that I somehow mentioned that during the previous parts of my presentation here. So we are now kind of paying a lot of attention to support the most value-added industries. So it's no longer a support for kind of simple factories or simple assembly lines, but we focus more on research and development, and scientific institutes, and this is the kind of sectors which we basically focus at the moment, which comes hardly as a surprise that we live now in this world that only those who are heavily investing in R&D are prone to grow, rather than and those who are not are kind of lagging behind. So high-tech industries, I think that's both for India and for Poland would be the future in case of developing, and also this pandemic also showed us that the process of digitalization of economy accelerated enormously, and something that we expected to be with us in the end of this decade actually happened within weeks or months. So I think there is a whole new thing, a whole new set of circumstances at the moment, and all the governments will have to address it and focus more on IT and ICT or R&D. That was that.
Sure. Thank you very much, sir. What and how can Indian businesses contribute to the Polish businesses, and how does Poland look at India doing business here? So it's both the places. How could we be?
Yes, thanks for this question. I forgot to mention this because India has a very good publicity in Poland, and especially within the business community in Poland. It's perceived as a large country with enormous opportunities, and it's probably the most attractive in Asia when it comes for doing business in the future. So Polish, I didn't mention that before, but Poland's major trade partners are based in Europe. It's Germany, it's UK, it's France, Czech Republic or Italy. And our export goes about 3/4 are sold to these countries. But Polish businessmen are searching for new opportunities, and India comes as a natural partner in that, with a huge young population. Within within few years, India India already have more young people than China, but within few years, India will have the largest population in the world, and we are fully aware of this, and we're very much looking forward to work closer with India, because we need to find new partners outside EU. It's very natural, very easy for Polish business people to trade with other EU members, as the rules of trade are exactly the same. But those who are willing to take risks, they are immediately thinking of India. That's their natural thing. So I hope that the kind of a trend that we are observing during pandemic, that countries are kind of closing down and they are feeling that they can be self-reliant, it's a more of a kind of first reaction towards the shrinking GDPs. But at the end of the day, we will return to a more open world that prizes efficiency, that prizes ideas, and we will be back to trade. And in this sense, India is one of the top for Polish business.
Sure. I asked this question earlier, and I'm going to repeat that as a last question. What are the opportunities for cocoa peat and coir pit blocks? That's the based manufacturing products in Poland. It's the coir pit block.
Yeah, so I think that my colleague, head of the trade section, already shared her details here on this chat and this webinar. So if you could kindly address an email directly to the trade office, so the response would be far more competent and on time than mine now. So.
Sure. Your Excellency, we just want to thank you from all our heart for everything that you've given us, the overview and your perspective about the great business. And thank you for really taking our vision on the international arena of Poland. And we would truly look forward to do business with Polish entrepreneurs. We just had a beautiful comment by Mr. Rajay, who just said that he enjoys the Polish wines. So that was just to take it on the lighter note. He does enjoy the Polish wines. I just wanted to mention that to you. I'm going to take this opportunity. Yeah. Just want to take this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and also bringing the wines into Poland. Was traditionally was not a wine producer, but with the whole climate change that we are observing now, we are seeing wineries in the south part of Poland these days. So it's another reason to visit Poland, and we are very much looking forward to meet in person and meet somewhere in Poland.
Wow, that's beautiful. Sir, I'm going to just ask you one small last question, which says that there were earlier export restrictions on FMCG products from Poland to India, like Nutella in the past, Nutella product. So they had restrictions. Just wanted to know if it's open now, if you want to just answer, or probably let us know later as well.
I would have to check that. I'm not really kind of.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So feeling absolutely fabulous talking of, the Polish wines. I'm going to take this opportunity of truly thanking His Excellency. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for sharing with us your expertise and giving us, the right attitude to go ahead and really, work with Polish entrepreneurs. I'm going to take a request Mr. Vikash Mittersain, our business guru, to kindly address everyone and once again thank His Excellency, please. If we could unmute, sir, please. Mr. Girish. Thank you everyone who joined us today. So we're going to share the details with all of you, and Ms. Priya Pansaria, CEO, shall do the needful, and you shall definitely thank you for showing so much interest to everyone who's present here and to all our esteemed dignitaries who've joined us from across the world. We are truly, truly excited and delighted to answer everything that you asked for in the email, and we shall connect with you. And now over to Mr. Vikash Mittersain, please.
Thank you. I think this was wonderful. Such deep knowledge of the country. So, sir, this is what we are doing in IBG. When the lockdown began on March 14th, we realized that this is a long drawn process. It's not going to disappear overnight. We completely changed the IBG model from a localized chamber to an international one. And we could also see that post-COVID, business is going to change forever. It's not going to remain the way it was. What we wanted to do and what we are doing now is tying up with a lot of chambers around the world and bringing interaction between our members and their members, building up the knowledge base of those countries and those business people, so that when the opportunity arises, we are all ready to grab it. So thank you very much once again. Very nice knowledge session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vikash. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to once again thank each and every one of you for joining with us. We had with us, and we truly thank our humble thanks to His Excellency, Mr. Damian Irzyk. Thank you so much, dear sir, for being here with us, Consul General of Poland, and for addressing everyone here at India Business Group Chamber of Commerce. With a global namaste and humble thanks, I'm going to take this opportunity of requesting all of you to send in your questions, and we shall definitely revert to you. Humble thanks to you, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, and stay healthy.
Thank you very much, dear sir. Very, very kind of you.